this is a quote I saw recently on Instagram. Stop looking for the you in other people, because everyone isn't raised like you, and you have to accept that, and people will be ignorant and act ignorantly. Greetings, my name is Teisha Chung Smith. I am from Miami, originally born in Jamaica. I've been in Shenzhen this is going into my 4th year. I came as an English teacher for high school, but I do many sorts of other things. I event plan and network and bring different people together. And you're watching Blackpats. What brought me to China originally was something to scratch off my bucket list. And plus, I was going through a divorce. And so I just had to get out of my space. I had to get out of my space in order to think and just get clear on a lot of things in my life. So what turned out to really just be 1 year of clarity has brought me into my 4th year now. So here and in the States, I'm a makeup artist and a skincare consultant. So I was working on one of my clients who's also a teacher. And so she'd asked me, Teisha, what do you think about teaching abroad? And I was like, years ago I had thought about it. I went to a website, Teachaway, because she was using Teachaway as well. And so I typed in a search and came across Shenzhen. And when I looked into Shenzhen more and more, I saw that Shenzhen had many similarities between Jamaica and Miami as far as the climate, weather, and what have you. And it has a beach, and I'm a beach girl. So that's what drew me to Shenzhen opposed to other cities in China, because I was not moving to China for 4 seasons with winter coats, snow, ice, and those things. I wanted a beach, and I would be happy with that. So that's what brought me here originally and how I specifically found Shenzhen. So year 1 in China, because like I said, I came here originally just for some peace. I was a homebody. I went nowhere, I did nothing. But I was in some groups. Some of my coworkers, because I was fortunate enough to have Black coworkers, they who had been here for a while had put me into some groups. And in one of my groups, a good girlfriend of mine now added me and messaged me and asked me if I wanted to go to an event by Sunny, who basically everybody knows Sunny in Shenzhen. She's a person who puts events together and trips and stuff. And so Nicole and I befriended each other, and then we went on stuff together. And so after my first year of healing and whatnot, I kind of got back into who I was, which is I am a people gatherer. I have this feeling of euphoria when I see especially our people coming together. And then I got with one of my business partners now, Dan. And so he and I decided we need to really bring this community together. And in doing so, it's what is basically the goal of this? And it's not to make money. It's not to do any of that. It's just to see our people blended in a community where they feel comfortable and safe. And it's just to have things that may remind them of home, wherever home may be. What do I like about China? Well, to be honest, China has given me the opportunity to travel so many places because first 2-3 years, I've rarely stayed in China and traveled throughout of China. I'm guilty, but I got to go to Ghana. I've gotten to go to most of Southeast Asia, which I like. So the ability to travel. The second thing I love about China is, of course, my students. So if you know me, if you see my moments, I'm always putting my students on blast. I taught high school English in America, and I teach high school English here. And basically, I don't care what anyone tells you, high school kids are high school kids everywhere. They're sarcastic, they're hilarious, they're into hip hop. My kids are amazing, and I love the mess out of them. And the third thing is the convenience and the ability to save money. The cost of living here is so flippin' cheap that when I go back to the States, it's scary because of the fact that you run through money so quickly. But here in China, you could live off the most minimum and still be happy, still be good with stuff. So I love the ease of doing things. I'm learning how to use different apps now, and I love the fact that I can just hop on a train and go basically anywhere in China, especially Guangzhou, which a lot of us love because we love going to the African pot to go eat some West African food. I just like the treatment of some of my friends. And I guess because people still are trying to figure out what I am, it's I do get stared at because they're trying to figure me out, especially when my hair is natural or whatever. But it's going through the border sometimes with some of my friends who are darker hue. and seeing how they get harassed, and it's just, that bothers me because I can't necessarily relate to exactly what they're feeling, but I see the pain that they're enduring, and that hurts my heart. Weirdly enough, I'm very naive to a lot of things going on in China, and I think I'm doing that deliberately to protect myself, because I was thinking about that like last year or the year before. It's like I've never been in a situation where I wasn't well aware of everything going on as far as politics, news, and stuff like that. And so I get into it once in a while, but not enough to say I'm very aware. So I've always lived by the mantra that ignorance is bliss, and I think I do that to protect myself, especially here. So I know there's a lot more going on. I've heard of different situations, and I also credit it to a lot of ignorance and naivety, because Chinese in general are, whether or not we want to believe it, they are a communist country, so they're isolated in a lot of things. So when they come across people of color, black people, they associate all of us from the same place, and they associate negative things with the same place because of the media. So, you know, it's like, it's our job to educate more and more people in order for them to not have these stereotypes against us and stuff like that. I mean, the same thing happened to when we moved from Jamaica to the States. People thought Jamaicans lived in trees and wiped ourselves with leaves and things like that. So it's like, it's all a matter of educating people. So in choosing Shenzhen, I also learned I started to learn the history, which is a part of Guangdong province, which was originally called Canton. So my grandfather is, or was, from this province, we believe, because before my father passed, we were trying to get into our family history, and he was supposed to be pulling up some information for me. So I learned that my grandfather was from there, and then I have a Chinese friend who, for my first year being here, we went up to Guangzhou for the first time for my birthday, because I wanted to start the trek on my birthday. And in doing so, we were trying to find family files and records. Kind of been a little hard because the name of the places are so archaic. They've been changed over time. So, and my lineage is Hakka. So, and Hakka people are transient. They travel throughout. So it's a matter of trying to figure out whether or not my grandfather was truly from Guangdong, which we do still believe. And I met a young lady who I'm hoping we're actually cousins. And she sought me out in one of the groups she and I are both in, and we share the same last name of Chung, or family name is Chung. And so we started connecting, and now I'm doing an interview for her. And so she and I have some work to do, because we really do think, I'm praying and hoping that we are really related through my grandfather and her grandmother. To say that I am blessed is an understatement. Like, I've just been protected in so many different ways and taken care of. So before coming to China, one of my students happened to be Chinese, and I'm really close with my students. So he knew two of my students actually were Chinese, and his mother and I had a really good relationship. So she, upon finding out that I was coming to China, she's like, Teisha, give me all the information, and I want it in Chinese. I don't want anything that they've given you translated. And so she started doing all her research. She wanted to find out the company I was working for, where I was going to live, whomever. So she started doing all of her research, and then once she found out the company I was working for was legit, she gave me her blessing to come. So I'm so grateful to her. So I say all that to say, I have had friends and met people who've had different experiences. Unfortunately, they've been recruited by supposed agents or agencies that weren't true. When they got here, they didn't have visas, they weren't housed, or they weren't a true company that had things in place. So for instance, make sure you do your research about the company that you're working for. Be sure you have some sort of open lines of contact with that person. What protocols do they have in place in case of emergencies? How are you getting picked up from the airport, the borders, things like that? What do you get reimbursed for? Because there's a lot of paperwork that goes into coming to China, such as you have to get your degrees apostilled, and every single one. So depending upon the level of degree you've attained, you have to get every single one apostilled, meaning they have to be officially notarized by your institution that you went to. Find out who your connections are as far as the school is concerned. How do they provide housing? What are you responsible for on your end versus what are they taking responsibility for on their end? Housing, accommodations, bank accounts. You have to be sure that you let your American banks know that you are coming abroad. And great piece of advice that my Chinese parents taught me was to switch over to T-Mobile. T-Mobile is a US company and they're international. So when we came across the border, I was still on my phone using it, texting, WeChatting and everything. Whereas my friends who I came over with, their phones went dead. So T-Mobile allows you to be international and you always have a phone that works. Come with money in hand. Always have cash on you and have money on a credit card or a debit card so you have quick access to it in the event of anything. And when you get to Hong Kong airport, if you fly through Hong Kong or if you fly through Shenzhen or any other parts of China, go to an international currency exchange. Even though you may lose some money, at least you have cash on hand because cash will always work and pull you out of a lot of situations. Biggest lesson I have learned in China is patience. Patience. I'm living in someone else's country. I started to learn the language, but I really haven't. So I need to allow myself to be patient with people. They're trying to make things convenient for me out of their own language, trying to work with mine, as opposed to me paying them the same courtesy. And so you just learn to time yourself better. You learn to accept a lot of things from people that you wouldn't accept because of the fact that it goes back to people being ignorant or people just trying. And so I tolerate a lot of stuff that I see here, that I see going on. Also because I blame myself because of the fact that I don't know the language. So if I've learned anything in China, even with my job, even with the people I work with, is learning how to deal with people and just becoming patient, because you have to, at the end of the day, remember, this is a quote I saw recently on Instagram, stop looking for the you in other people, because everyone isn't raised like you and you have to accept that, and people will be ignorant and act ignorantly. Holla at me at MK Hey Gorgeous on IG. I have a snap, I can't remember what it is, I think, but you'll find it when you go to my IG, MK Hey Gorgeous.